I mean, we just when you thought we were out of our 2024 politics. Oh my God, that's a lot of alcohol in one person. So because they're not going to debate, because he doesn't have any real platform to stand on, Biden is enlisting hundreds of TikTok stars and social media influencers to promote his political messaging, whatever that is, to young voters, and may give them their own briefing room at the White House.
I don't know why I haven't been approached yet. I'm skateboarding these days.
Hello, fellow
kids.
And it's funny. It's a yeah. So this is what it used to be, and these are the people who have, the Occupy Democrats and the Chris Jackson,
the old guard.
It's Jeff Tiedrick, Mueller, she wrote, all of those people. I'm sure many of them have you blocked, or you've blocked many of them. I'm trying to see who. Oh, the Real Horse. Yep, blocked. What's the Brooklyn Dad guy? MM Padellin, whatever. They're all there. That's the Democratic strategy, is paid influencers. I mean, when Bernie had his
Padellin, sorry.
He's the Brooklyn Dad. When Bernie had his heart attack and his surrogates went out on the road and kept talking about his policies that he was going to fight for before he caved to his good friend Joe. There was something, I know. So we've got a treat from them coming up. There was something so nice about it, because what it showed was that it wasn't really about Bernie. It was about those policies that were so exciting and popular across the board that anybody could talk about those policies. Here they've got nothing to talk about. Nothing. So do you want to show like what these guys, some of their stuff? Pat, you're on mute.
Sorry. Anybody could talk about the policies, but all they had to do, you didn't have to be astute and know that much about it. They were popular. You just had to show how popular they were. The people support this policy. Why doesn't Joe Biden? People support Medicare for all. Why doesn't Joe Biden? Over and over. So you want to show some of the influencers, these genius kids?
Yeah.
If this doesn't make you want to vote Dem,
I genuinely do not care what the Republican Party says about Gen Z. They call us weak. They call us lazy. They call us ineffective. And it's like, do you really think that's going to stop us? Their insults don't faze my generation. Gen Z is focused on change. Republicans are focused on trolling. And that's what the Republican Party doesn't understand about Gen Z is we don't like you.
You claim you want to appeal to Gen Z, but you call us stupid, you say we're dumb, you say we're indoctrinated. I promise it's a losing strategy.
And Gen Z is watching the Republican Party.
And so the younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No. I have no empathy for it. Give me a break.
So that's sad. They were insisting that they had not been paid for this. And then, yes, Krasenstein comes to their defense saying, these guys, they're not paid by the DNC. They're employed by a company that was contracted by the DNC for media work in 2022. He asked the White House for press briefings, and he received them because now he is deemed part of the media. To imply that he is a Democratic operative is out of line. This would also mean, get ready for it, that everyone who works for Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, Twitter, Facebook, etc., are political operatives because the company they work for has received advertising contracts from various candidates and political organizations. He's so close to getting it. Like, so close. Yes, they are all operatives for the people in power, 100%.
And for whoever these stupid consultants are, to throw out Krasenstein, who is a clear known consultant paid by
was
the
he on that
Party.
list? Yeah.
Well, he's on video. I mean, granted, it's who are those wacky right wing nutters that do the videos, the gotcha videos all the time?
Oh yeah.
Can't you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They got him on video. He's drinking. He's like me at a cocktail hour.
Yeah.
But he says, yeah, I'm paid to influence.
Wait, Krasenstein said that?
Krasenstein brothers were. Yeah, before they got kicked off, they were on one of those.
Oh my God.
Those videos.
Yeah. I'm finally reading. I'm sorry. I'm just getting back to reading some of your comments. So forgive me. I drank too much and we're going through so much stuff. Yeah.
Someone said they can't get enough of the cringe influencers. So here's another one.
Ah, look who's back. Hey, did you know that in the midterms, depending on the state, between 60 and 70% of Gen Z voters voted for a Democrat? And look, whether you're further left than me, maybe you're less establishment than me, maybe you're a little further right than me, most of Gen Z can agree on a couple things. We need more restrictions on guns in this country. There has been more mass shootings than days this year. Women need the right to an abortion. We need to protect our climate. We need better access to healthcare. And look, I know Democrats are struggling with young people recently. I get it. But in my opinion, they'll get back on track, and the person to lead us and do that in 2024 is Joe Biden. Let's go, baby.
Oh my God. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm reading. Yes, he's aggressive. He's annoying. The speed of Adderall, hilarious.
And I think one thing that these people are ignoring is that the younger generation is very informed.
Yeah.
And I mean, he talks about it that, he says the younger generation's informed. Well, they know that these guys are fake propaganda. They know that these guys are paid to push this shit. So all this stuff is backfiring is the end result. And that guy is not appealing. He's not cool. Kids aren't going to love his little antics with all this stuff that the consultant said. Wave your arms a lot and be very hyper and act like you're on Adderall.
More energy.
That's what we think.
Faster, louder, funnier. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, and also just like everybody in the Democratic Party, they say the right things. You have access to healthcare. We're going to protect, abortion rights, climate. Just say climate. You don't have to talk about the fact that Biden is giving more fossil fuel contracts for drilling than Trump. You don't have to talk about, that he'd never, like the student loan, minimum wage, even public option for healthcare that he promised, which is pathetic, but he hasn't even delivered on that. None of it. You don't have to refute any of that to mainstream Dems with facts because they don't care. They will what they'll say is, if you give them those facts, they will say, well, he's trying. He means well. In his heart, he wishes he could. How about that he's, doubling down on deportations, reinforcing Trump's horrific policy about not letting people apply for asylum here unless they've already applied through a third country. I mean, he is loathsome.
But I think you're right in the sense that that's how older generations see him. How you said, they'll say he tried, he means well, all that stuff. But the younger generation does not see it that way. Yeah. They see betrayal. They see the student loan debt. They see his failure on the climate. They see all the things that we see. So they're not going to enthusiastically get out there and vote for their guy, Joe Biden or whatever.
He's like, who's that? Crazy. It was like a mattress king, the mattress king in New York. The mattresses have to go. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. All right. Should we move on? Or no, what are we doing? Oh no, we're still on influencers.
We could move on though, just to get some other. Do you have some more good influencer stuff? I don't know. What do you got?
Well, this. Yeah. Okay. This I do think is interesting, and these are people who will not allow themselves to be put on record, but they are saying it's a hard sell to try to appeal to young voters. It's a hard sell to us ourselves. If your own activists, the people who are supposed to be convincing other people, are wondering, are we convinced at all whether he's doing a great job or not? Then how are we supposed to go out and convince other people? Oh, I guess he did let himself be named, said Noah Lumbentobing from the anti-gun violence group March of Our Lives. A number of them who asked to remain anonymous to protect relationships inside the administration said the Biden team is accessible and proactive in asking for their input, but they said that the interactions can often feel perfunctory and their suggestions are largely ignored. We don't need help being convinced that the Republicans are the bad guys, and we need to fight against them, said Michelle Weingling, electoral director of the Sunrise Movement, the youth-led climate group. We need to be told not just why we're voting against the right, but what we're voting for. And I do think that's a big difference between that generation and some of the older generations who are so deathly afraid of I honestly, I cannot tell what the difference is between Trump and George W. Bush. And I can't tell what the difference is between George W. Bush and Biden.
I know the difference is, you know, if Trump was out there pushing some hardcore issue that was bad for the climate, they would get a lot of press. People would be against it, and Democrats would have to vote against it. But anything that's like enabling more drilling is going to have all the support on the right. So like under a Democrat, you can get away with more damage to the climate than you can under a Republican. And
That's
I think that's the rub that Gen Z and kids growing up are dealing with, is like they see that there's no student debt forgiveness. They see that nothing's happened on the climate. They see that they don't have health care.
Yeah.
Or they're on their parents' health care, but they don't know how they're going to afford anything. They're living with 3 roommates and they're making $15 an hour, but they can't afford their rent with a full-time job. I mean, the
last time we had a minimum wage hike was under George W. Bush, not under Obama, who bragged that he exported more oil than any other president, that oil production was up and fracking, right?
And so they're not seeing, look, even if Biden's arguments are true that you can't pass this thing or whatever, they don't see any fight in them. And that's the case. The Democrats don't have any fight on any of these issues.
Because they're collaborating.
Yeah,
they don't want, I mean, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly right, is that when a disgusting Republican is in office, at least liberals will fight against all those things. And then when Obama's in office or when Biden's in office, you know, there was the death of the Me Too movement. Nobody ever talks about it anymore. Climate, the migrants in cages, like all of that just disappeared. Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah. Should we show that influencer video that's actually good?
Yeah. Yeah. If you actually cared about winning an argument on policy and what matters, this is what you could be doing.
First, you hit them with the solidarity about the right to bear arms. Shit-talking liberals really butters them up, you know? Then you can move into talking about the job. Fucking work sucks. Boss makes $1, I make a dime. And that's a good segue into the government. Fucking Uncle Sam takes all my money anyway. And now you got a good rapport going. Now, for the moment, you keep this next part separate and you talk about corporations. Say you bring up food prices. Talk about medical expenses. Goddamn media is all propaganda. And now here you gotta be careful. It's important to bond over all the things that suck, but it is equally important as a leftist to never say anything that contradicts your own principles. So for example, they'll talk about the liberal media, and you're like, yeah, it's all fucking propaganda. And then you can throw in how Fox News is just the same, and how they all serve the same masters. Now it's been a couple weeks. You're all good buddies now. Fuck the man, you know? Now you can tie the corporations to the government. Yeah, you know, all those politicians are all bought and paid for anyway by those corporations. Now you can really start weaseling in there. You know, they need us more than we need them. The only reason they even got any money is because we do all the work. I forgot to mention back at the principles point. You can't let them get away with saying anything racist or homophobic or sexist. And that shit all depends on you being in the club, so you just gotta be like, that ain't fucking cool, bro. Then you can just kind of move around that one and be like, I'm not with you on that one, bro. I don't think you're cool. And these guys all just want to be cool anyway. So now you're like 3-4 weeks deep in your undercover operation. Now's where you strike. You've been with these people for a month now. They like you, and you like them. Hell, we agree on everything. But they're going to say something fucked up. This is circumstantial. You got to choose your moment to strike. But they're going to say something like, yeah, and we should bomb those motherfuckers. And now you hit them with the, well, I'm a communist, so I don't support imperialist war. And you can see it in their eyes. They're like, and you can see their head churning. Like, this guy was so cool. I agreed with everything he said. And he says he's a communist. Does that mean I'm a communist? And they're not a communist, and you'll probably fight about this. But now they know that communism is not what they thought it was. It's a person like you.
So I just like that because I know there have been lots of online spats about whom we organize with and how to handle it. And I just thought, you know, when you actually care about the issues, there is a strategy that's not just browbeating people, yelling at them, telling them that they're fascists. doxing their husband online. There's a way to have a real communication and hope to make some impact. And I guess, you know, at the end of the day, like that's my project. Like that's what I hope we can all be doing. So that gave me a little bit of hope.
And I like that he pointed out one important thing, which is you don't compromise on your values, your principles. I mean, you can't just condone a lot of the shit that Tucker Carlson says and get in with that group. They're not going to come to your side on these things. You have to at least push back on it. It's like if you want to have a unified protest, you can have people from the right there, but once they start saying anti-trans stuff or, you know, pushing anti-abortion shit, you know, you got to keep that out of it at a minimum.
Yeah. And not do what, I mean, I know we're all talking about the same thing, but what so many people did in that, which was like, they did sort of the same thing as that crazy lady in the car where it's like, you know, we can get to that later. You know, we don't need to talk about trans rights right now. That won't even matter if we're blown up in World War III.
Exactly.
Like, well, okay, but what if we're not blown up in World War III? Like, people still have to have civil rights and dignity. So, yeah, I think there's been a lot of mask off moments for people who were formerly considered on the left.
Yeah. And I don't care about labels calling people the left.
Yeah.
You know, like you can disagree
Allies.
on trans stuff and we can be allies on issues, you know, whatever. But like, there is like the allyship part of it. We are not allies if you have those views. Like,
right.
You know, we're not, I don't want to condone those views. To me, that those kind of views are just like racism. It's no different. You know?
Yeah. It's evil. And in the end, if their sort of existence depends on denying somebody else rights, that's not anybody you're going to be able to fight alongside anyway.
No, and if they win, the first thing they're going to do is turn and scapegoat those minority groups that they are opposed to already.
100%.
Which is what happens historically every fucking time.
Yeah.